Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let's quickly take a look at the front pages, starting with the Daily Trust newspaper here, where the major story has been echoed and re-echoed all through, I think, 2 weeks now, where Dangote Refinery, Dangote now is saying, buy me out. Now, he is telling the NNPCL on this because, of course, he's put out there that there's been a bit of challenges for him, and there are a lot of people that are not making it easy for him to run this refinery in the country. Invite regulators for product testing. That's also him saying it. Calls of steel plant investment. Experts speak, and the presidency is still silent. There is no report from the presidency on this matter so far. If you go into the Daily Trust, there you'll see in depth Kano's second-class Emirates here to stay. We have, of course, someone that would dissect this issue. So what is from Kano, and I cannot wait to dissect this situation as well. Now, these are the stories that you'd find on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Let's move on to the Guardian, where below the headlines there we see Dangote rejects monopoly claims, halts investment in steel industry. The now fund to disburse 37 billion naira student loan to 112,000 applicants this week. Students fake abduction to receipt UTME, says JAM. There seems to be controversy when it comes to the JAM. The major story is about the NPC. Costly policy trade-off as FX crisis, a minimum wage stir-fresh challenge. You find that on page 6. So we have Lagos government issues contravention notice to Aja property owners. Money supply to dip by 20 trillion naira as banks offload dormant account proceeds. The Democrats shop for new candidates as Biden pulls out of re-election race. Proposed bill stirs fresh controversy in the ICT sector. Holds governors, others to account for 2023 electoral offences, court orders the INEC. These are the stories that you'd find on the Guardian newspaper this morning. Let's quickly take a look at This Day newspaper there, where the story is saying a death sentence. President Tinubu, please pay for our treatment with funds from higher sugary drinks tax. Now, this is a diabetes patient. Someone is saying it took my eye. Insulin prices could take my life. A really sad situation. Now, this story breaks my heart. Below or above the headmaster, it says Biden quits presidential race, endorses his VP, Kamala Harris. Dangote fights back. Yes, he's fighting back on the people trying to block him. That's allegedly. And we have Zenith Bank retains position as Nigeria's #1 bank by Tier 1 capital for 15 consecutive years. Now, quickly, let's review these front pages. So we have Suleiman Obagaya, the CEO and group editor of Sky Limited Media Group and former deputy president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Good morning. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me. Happy Monday. Good morning.
Is it happy for us? You know, we're starting with one of the things that's supposed to cushion, our worries, the effects of the fuel subsidy, which everyone was at least hoping for, was the Dangote Refinery.
Yeah.
But we've seen the build-up of things where he came out and said there's a lot of people against it. There's cabals in the oil industry or the oil world. He spoke about he started this journey, but he's regretting it. He cannot go back. We've seen all of this. And right now, of course, people are pointing fingers saying he wants to monopolize the market of a refinery, and he is pushing back. What is your take on all of this? Him saying the government should buy him out.
You see, even though I am from Kano State, I am not known as an Dangote sympathizer. But my heart goes out to him for what is clearly playing out in the country now. My heart goes out to him because it's very obvious, even to the blind, that some government elements are all out to scuttle the Dangote refinery. There is no doubt as to that. For example, the chief regulator of the refinery, of the oil industry, came out just a few days to make very weighty allegations about the Dangote refinery. He alleged that the sulfur content is high and that the fuel being produced by the refinery are inferior, even within the West African context. That is completely demarcating the agency. People should know that that very agency has 15 engineers embedded in the Dangote refinery. If they have any issue with the products, why won't they simply approach Dangote or the managers of the refinery and tell them that, look guys, the sulfur content is high, you should reduce it, or you should take it to the level where it is allowed. But unfortunately, they decided to go to the marketplace and demarket him. And the implication is that people will now be afraid of buying the products of Dangote refinery. And who is going to be the loser? Dangote said in his interview with Premium Times over the weekend that in the next 3 years he's going to be 70, and that he needs very few resources to finish the rest of his life. And he's right. And he said very clearly that he's not going to the grave with this refinery or anything that he has made, all the wealth that he has made. So he is doing this basically, even though, of course, as an entrepreneur, for our own sake, for posterity's sake. It is in the interest of Nigeria to have investments of this type. We have seen our presidents going to countries like Qatar, like Dubai, begging for investments of $500 million, $1 billion, $2 billion. And here we are, a Nigerian, a full-blooded Nigerian, having invested $20 billion on a refinery, and we are demarketing him. We are doing everything to scuttle him. And now, of course, he is right. I fully support him when he calls up his plan to invest in the steel industry. You see, there is no way any entrepreneur will be or investor will be encouraged if they see the way even our own is being treated.
Yeah,
and part of what they do is ensuring the refinery does not even have crude oil to run its activities. Now, the Petroleum Industry Act is very explicit that the international oil companies cannot export crude oil even to Niger Republic or Benin Republic, our immediate neighbors, until our local refineries are fully satisfied and supplied. And here we are. They have not been doing that. On the few occasions that they did, they upscaled the price. They keep doing all sorts of things to frustrate this gentleman. So honestly, Dangote saying the NNPC should buy him out, I'm sure he has said that out of frustration. And government needs to be very careful because, in fact, the Tinubu administration must view those people is trying to scuttle Dangote as enemies, not as friends.
Indeed. Speaking on the administration, this is not the first time we've heard stories or allegations saying Nigerians try to sabotage their own. Because we've seen a lot of business owners, coming out from our own country, making efforts to at least rival other maybe international companies. But then there is a lot of drama, and before you know it, that Nigerian company go down. So there's been a lot of allegations saying Nigerians do not want our own to even grow.
Yeah, definitely.
And the refinery story has always been there, saying for the longest time, the refineries died and nothing has been done. But then in the midst of this saga, the presidency is silent. Why is the presidency silent?
Okay, before that, let me lend credence to what you just said about we Nigerians trying to kill our own dreams. I mean, not encouraging our own entrepreneurs or investors. Let me cite an example with, I wouldn't want to mention the name, but a cable network operator, this satellite television. We know of a very major satellite operator in Nigeria that has been practicing monopoly. And it doesn't originate from Nigeria. It's a foreign entity that is making huge profits in Nigeria. If we are alleging that Dangote is exercising monopoly, what of the monopoly being exercised by foreigners in Nigeria? What have we done about it? The regulatory agencies, the regulators have done nothing. There are allegations that they keep collecting kickbacks left, right, and center to allow that monopoly to continue to exist. So, you see, it's neither here nor there. The presidency being silent about it, honestly, is quite strange. Because if Dangote, for example, decides to close down his this refinery, of course you will lose, but I think the biggest loser in Nigeria is Nigeria. Because if you look at the multiplier effect, direct employment in that Dangote refinery, somebody told me is around 100,000 people, and all of them have family members and relations. So by the time you multiply that, you are talking about millions of people benefiting daily from the Dangote refinery. I don't see why a government should try to kill that. By the time he closes it down, as he once did in Tanzania, because when the Tanzanian government tried to prostrate him a few years ago about his cement factory, he simply closed it down. And the president that succeeded that one that antagonized him, had to beg Dangote practically to open it. And I know Dangote very well.
Yeah.
He doesn't need this refinery to continue to survive.
He already said it. He said our refinery have repeated orders from abroad. That's what he's saying. So even if he doesn't sell to Nigerians, he knows he's going to make his profit. But this, of course, is something that is really disturbing, and it's really scary that Nigerians are seeing this. But let's talk about this NPC matter on the front of The Guardian. They're saying costly policy trade-off as FS crisis and the minimum wage stir fresh challenge. We saw how after they put out saying, okay, 70,000 is the agreed minimum wage, which we knew the only reason the labor union decided to just accept it's because of the current economic crisis, and it has been there for the longest time, and saying, okay, we're going to at least review it in 3 years, not 5 years now. But measuring it to other African countries and then measuring it with dollars, it seems we're still even beneath Benin Republic, and we claim ourselves as the giants of Africa. What is your take on this particular situation?
You see, this talk about the minimum wage and the economy, you have to stimulate the economy to be able to generate the kind of income that will make Nigeria's GDP to grow. And by the time, with incidences like this, the prostration of that Dangote has been suffering, the efforts to scuttle his industry, the refinery, there is no way we can generate the kind of income, as a country that will make it possible for the Nigerian economy to be fully stimulated, and to have a situation where the government and the private sector can afford higher minimum wage. You understand? It's such a shame, honestly, that countries like Benin Republic that you mentioned, and I think even Niger Republic, most of these neighboring countries, I know Senegal, I've been there a few times. I know that the economic situation is far better than Nigerians. The GDP per capita may not be, of course, that is paper thin, may not be better than Nigeria, but then practically speaking, if you go there, you see that the standard of living is far higher than Nigeria. Even if you go to Benin Republic, you see this thing called meat that we find luxury here. You find practically everybody affording, meat and other proteins for their meals.
Let's not forget this, the naira to dollar situation. That is the main, a bone of contention right now. Nigerians seems to think 70,000 is not enough to dollar because the naira value has crashed.
Yeah, it has crashed. That 70,000 naira is a far cry, honestly. It's not a living wage. Locally, I had Senator Adams Oshomale, making a distinction yesterday on a television station about a living wage and the minimum wage. This is just the minimum wage. There is no way it can take you home. Somebody earning 70,000 naira, how much does he pay for transportation to his place of work? And how much does he pay to be able to eat at his place of work? And what does he leave for his family? What does he provide or allocate out of that meager amount for payment of rent, for payment of school fees, for payment of medication and other responsibilities? You see, it's a far cry, and I think we are deceiving ourselves, honestly. Unless we face reality, stimulate the economy to a level where the private sector itself will be a bigger employer of labor, will continue to grapple with situations of insecurity, of all sorts of things. And that is why people are now talking about anti-government protest. If things were working well, there will hardly There is hardly a situation where such a thing will happen.
Indeed.
You know, abroad is very common. Once a small policy of government,
yeah,
you know,
yes,
a small policy of government does not go well with the people. They come out to protest, and the government, they will not stop until the government stops it. I'm not advocating for violent protest. Definitely, we hope and pray that even if this protest holds, it does not become violent. And of course, the security services have a responsibility not to emasculate the organizers, but to ensure that even if the protest holds, it does not get out of control. Let the people conduct themselves decently and peacefully and make their voices heard, hoping that the government will react by maybe reversing some of their draconian policies.
Because that would be democracy.
Exactly.
All right, you're from Kano. Let's talk about Kano, monarchy and the drama that's been going on. For the longest time, we were having two kings in Kano. And we've heard a decision being made that, okay, there was going to be at least second-class emirates. Walk us through that.
Well, you see, unfortunately, the monarchy in Nigeria has been severely abused, especially by politicians. Well, I don't see it coming to stay permanently, just as the four emirates created by Ganduje have now come crashing. On April 1, 1981, Alhaji Abubakar Rimi, the then governor of Kano State, created four emirates in what was seen as an attempt to, scuttle the powers of the then emir, Alhaji Ado Bayero. Just 2 years later, down the line, on October 1, when Rimi was defeated and the Sabo Baikenzo became the new governor of Kano State, the same day he took the oath of office, he reversed it. Just as Abba Kabir Yusuf also reversed the appointments, the creation of four new emirates by the former administration of Malam Abdullah Umar Ganduje. So I want to believe that another administration is likely to do the same, especially if it doesn't come from the NNPP stock. Even if it is NNPP, everyone has his own or their own policy. So they are likely to reverse it. But then for now, it's a step in the right direction. Gaya, Rano, and Karaye have history. Their emirs are always called Sarki, and in the presence of the emir, all the emirs of Kano, you can call the district of Gaya as Sarkin Gaya, of Karaye, Sarkin Karaye, of Rano, Sarkin Rano. So they have their history. Making them second-class emirs, I believe, is a step in the right direction. I hope that the present and the future leaders of Kano and other parts of Nigeria will see the need to allow the traditional institution to be. They serve their purpose, and we shouldn't kill that institution on the altar of politics.
Indeed. Do you think there should be like constitution to just change it in order to guide, the emirate and the monarchy?
Yeah, it should be a constitutional issue because, for example, what is playing out in Sokoto. You remember, of course, the Sultan is a national figure, but there are some groups like the Murik that have come out to say the Sultan is a national leader and that the Sokoto government doesn't have any right to, reduce his powers. But the governor simply kept quiet and did what he believed is right, because he believes and he knows he has the powers as far as the constitution is concerned. Nobody can stop him.
Now, it breaks our heart. I think we need to call these people out more. It breaks our heart that things like this are going on, and it shouldn't be. Because for a country that is celebrating democracy, saying, we've been celebrating democracy for 25 years, we need to do better when it comes to, democracy.
Honestly.
Due to time, of course, we have to wrap up at the show here. Thank you so much for joining us. Here we always like talking to you about, policies and things that affect us.
I always appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Suleiman Obagaya, for joining us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And with that, of course, we have come to the end of Daybreak this Monday morning. Do not forget, we'll come back tomorrow, 8 a.m. for another episode of the Daybreak. So please do stick around with our channel. At the top of the hour would bring you 360 Sport. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Do have a lovely Monday.